Fight night Machado Garry versus Carlos Prates is this weekend, and for this card, I'll be giving you my full card predictions, my favorite bets. You kind of get the gist. Anyways, I want to just point out how Ian Garry gets his shitty nickname as like part of the title screen for the UFC website. I don't get it. I don't know. I feel like this fight's rigged. I don't know. I'm getting an inkling. So, is that the right vocabulary word? Anyways, I don't feel like restarting it again. Let's just start off Chelsea Chandler versus Jocelyn Edwards. Now, Chelsea Chandler just has the build of a soccer mom who just dropped her kids off. And Jocelyn Edwards has a six pack, so I feel like this fight's pretty clear. Um, Jocelyn Edwards, I've actually watched her fight sometimes. She's pretty good. The thing is she has no finishing ability. She got the Leon Edwards thing where like her opponent could be like seizing on the floor in front of her and she would still like not hop on for a finish. She would just probably tap it leg kick at range. And Chelsea Chandler's famous for running away from her opponent full speed head first into the cage. So yeah, and she has like the generic like women's bantamweight like middle of the rankings like mom build. Like I don't know how you train MMA and like not have a six pack at least. I feel like that's bare minimum stuff. But anyways, yeah, I'm going Jocelyn Edwards just because she's genetically better and better all around and everything better. Let's move on to Timothy Kwamba versus Roberto Romero. Now, I was a part of the Timmy Kwamba hype when he had that close fight with David Onama. I was like, this guy's the future. He had a close fight. He was in there with David Onama. I think he's going to go places. And to be honest, I was completely wrong. When I was watching that Thomas Almeida fight, I was just in horror watching a guy I thought was pretty good throw one combo over and over and not switch it up once his opponent figured out what he was doing. He just, I forgot what it specifically was. I think it was just like literally just a right hand over and over. He just kept on throwing. And it didn't work. And he got KO'd in the second round, got dropped like 20 times. And Roberto Romero is actually good. His opponent, his fight against David Onama was also really close, and he was in there. He dropped David Onama in one point, and his leg kicks are underrated. He's able to just get into the pocket and slug, and like his face kind of describes his fight style. He's just a mean Mexican who's just gonna growl at you as he flings hooks and dirty inside leg kicks, and yeah, you get the gist. Roberto Romero is pretty skillful. I think he picks up the dub here. Let's move on to Jacqueline Amorim versus Polyana Viana. I think this is a clear Jacqueline Amorim fight, even though I've never watched either of these fighters fight. I just think Jacqueline Amorim's going to win. I just think Polyana Viana, she was kind of the Tracy Cortez before Tracy Cortez was kind of the big thing in the UFC. And even though she's not really attractive, I don't know if that's just me, but Polyana Viana, she's eh. I think she just I think she's probably just more committed to being an influencer now than actually fighting. And yeah, I feel like Jacqueline Moram, even though I've never watched her fight, she looks a little meatier. She looks like she's trying a little harder in the gym. So I'm just going to go with her. I feel like I've already spent a little too much time on the women MMA fights. Let's move on. Cameron Simon versus Malcolm Wellmaker. Now, I have been seeing a lot of traders recently just ditch Cameron Simon after one loss against an actual solid prospect in Peyton Talbot, but I'm not going to do the same. Cameron Simon's going to win this fight, and it's not just because he knows Dricus du Plessis. It's because he's just a well-rounded fighter, and he's fighting someone who doesn't have the crazy, flashy ability of Peyton Talbot, who can mix it up and be as stylish and just well-rounded. Malcolm Wellmaker, he does have KO power. Yeah, he did have a really good fight in the Dana White Contender Series fight, but it was a right hand, and his opponent, he was okay, but he really, I don't know, he's not on the Cameron Simon level. Cameron Simon, he had a year to recover since Peyton Talbot. He has a really good wrestling game. I think it's pretty underrated, and his striking, I think he's gonna crispen it up now. I think he thought he had the DDP plot armor for a while, and he realized he didn't after getting brutally kneed and like dropped 20 times against Payne Talbot. So I think he's going to be a much different fighter this go around. And I think he's just going to grit out a decision where he's just going to be crafty, hitting Malcolm Wellmaker at range and then taking him down. And yeah, I'm going Cameron Simon by decision here. Let's move on to Damon Blackshear versus Atta Lang. Atalang has the standard Chinese fighter just skill set where they're really not good at anything in particular, but they're not bad at anything, if that makes sense. He kind of is just rolling around at range. He's gonna hit you with a leg kick every once in a while, but he's kind of the perfect fighter for an up and comer because he won't push a pace. He won't really get up in your face. He won't show initiative. He already has 9 losses in his record. He doesn't care if he gets one more. So Damon Blackshear, he has a nice little Muay Thai rangy fight style, and I think he's going to be able to take down Atalang at will. Damon Blackshear, even though he was having a shitty performance against Cody Gibson, I think, I don't know, I just don't see Atalang having anywhere close to a similar performance as Cody Gibson, who also lost. So, yeah, Atalang, he fought Chris Gutierrez in his last fight, and the thing about him, he just loves to, like, against Chris Gutierrez, you can't just stay at range. And like he was doing a leg kick battle with Chris Gutierrez like in the Apex. It was just he doesn't care about his career in my opinion. Kind of looks like Zhang Mingyang with this Minecraft build. And yeah, Chinese people have blockheads. I'm starting to realize, or only the fighters. But let's move on. Speaking of Chris Gutierrez, he's fighting John Castaneda. I have Chris Gutierrez winning. John Castaneda is good. The thing is, if he was a middleweight, he would probably be a prospect where you'd actually have to watch him and might be solid. But thing about the featherweight division. Oh, it's the featherweight? I thought they were bantamweights. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Thing about the featherweight division is that you can't have holes. And John Castaneda, his gas tank's kind of sus. His chin's kind of sus. And even though he can push a pace pretty well, Chris Gutierrez is so skillful at range. He's not going to let John Castaneda get close. Chris Gutierrez, he's so light on his feet. And even though Castaneda, he had a really good performance against... who was it? Hey, intermission real quick. We got to check. Who did he fight who he had a good performance against? It was Daniel Santos. He rocked Daniel Santos a couple times. He had a really good fight against Moon Gafarov, where he was able to neutralize the takedowns and get a finish. Wait, or it might have been decision. I fucking forgot. But Chris Gutierrez is gonna win this fight because, John Castaneda, he needs an opponent who doesn't really have too good of striking, so he's able to push a pace. His takedown defense is pretty good, John Castaneda, but that's not going to be a factor here because Chris Gutierrez is going to kick his legs off, and that will be the fight. Chris Gutierrez by decision. Let's move on. Evan Elder versus Gage Young. I have Evan Elder. I rewatched the Gage Young versus Quinlan Salkiel fight, and a lot of people are going to say he was in there with Quinlan Salkiel, but he wasn't in there. He was getting his ass beat, and he would have a moment every once in a while, but it really wasn't UFC material level of performance. Evan Elder has actually picked up wins and have had close fights with UFC competition. He had a really close fight with, what's his name? Who's the Russian dude? I don't want to pull a Lucas Tracy and just sit here for 20 minutes. So let's just... He fought a Russian dude where he was having a good first round before getting cut, and it was a doctor stoppage. He had a good fight against Darius Flowers where he won by sub. I always thought Darius Flowers was good. A lot of people, I feel like underrated him. But Gage Young, he kind of just reminds me of a Street Beefs guy you would see just flinging hands with, who's that? Death Sentence. This guy looks like a Death Sentence opponent. So, I'm going to go with Evan Elder because Gage Young isn't UFC material. So, let's just move on. Matt Schnell, the return of Matt Schnell. And he's taking on Jimmy Flick. What a matchup to headline this prelim. I'm going Matt Schnell. And the thing is, it's like, I'm not confident in it, but it's just like, this fight is really just to see if Matt Schnell is like really done. Like if Jimmy Flick KOs you, there's not a bit of danger in striking with Jimmy Flick. If Jimmy Flick knocks you down, like if he knocks you down, you have to retire. Like I don't care if he goes on to have a 29-28 decision where he beats Jimmy Flick's ass. If you get knocked down by Jimmy Flick, it's over. But I do see the potential of Jimmy Flick getting takedowns and maybe being able to take over in his wrestling and gain a submission. But I don't know. I have a feeling Matt Schnell, he has solid jiu-jitsu. He was having a solid performance against Cody Durden, I believe. Yeah. he was having a solid performance against him before Cody Durden cracked him. But Cody Durden, he's gritty, he's grindy, he's going to land a shot eventually. So Matt Schnell was kind of fucked in that matchup. Jimmy Flick isn't really the same guy. He'll get a takedown, but I feel like Matt Schnell has proven to match jiu-jitsu. He had a good jiu-jitsu wrestling performance against Sumer Darji, getting him to the floor after getting 8 concussions. But yeah, I think this is just a good test to see if Matt Schnell is just able to, like, I don't know, just this is it for Matt Schnell. If you lose this, it's over. But yeah, let's hope Matt Schnell doesn't have to have like a neck cast for the rest of his life because he gets KO'd 15 times in the UFC. It's honestly fucked up what they're doing, the UFC fighters. Like Matt Schnell has to he wants to, but like he's getting KO'd 12 times and he's gonna be non-verbal when he's 60. It's messed up. Let's move on. Iskram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz. I do think Iskram Aliskerov is going to win because I think Andre Muniz's striking is kind of mid. I know he was out striking Brendan Allen, but that really doesn't take too much. Brendan Allen's kind of shit at striking, and the thing that I love about Iskram is that he's just his chin's kind of suspect recently. I'm a little nervous about that, but he's just able to get into the pocket and land immediate. He just throws everything into his shots, and I feel like Andre Muniz has shown to be a little chinny in the past. I don't know. I just don't trust him to be able. I think the wrestling is going to be completely neutralized. I think Andre Muniz, even though he has strong grappling, Iskram is Dagestani. He's a wrestler, brother. He's not getting taken down by Andre Muniz, and if he does, he's not getting controlled for more than 5 seconds. So I think it's just going to be a predominant stand-up fight, and I just think Muniz is kind of slow on the feet, and I think he's a little awkward, and I know that helps, but Ikram, I feel like he's just able, when I watch him, he's just like this brawler, and the more I think about it, like, I hate that he's chinny in this matchup, because it's, if you're going to be a brawler who's going into the inside, and it's going to be a predominant striking match, it's not really good if most of the time your striking is, you know what I'm saying, but you kind of have to go Iskram here. He's proven to be a better kickboxer. Phil Haas isn't anything to scoff at. I know he got KO'd a couple times before that fight, but he's still a solid kickboxer, and Iskram was able to find a shot. I don't know. I think he's a better kickboxer than Muniz, and I don't think Muniz has the KO ability to KO Iskram, so I don't know. I feel like the money plus 410 on Muniz could be a potential snag, but, don't quote me on that. Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. I do think Nicholas Dalby, even though he is good, Randy Brown, this is just such a good matchup for him, being 4 inches taller than Nicholas Dalby. And Nicholas Dalby, even though he's good, like being in the inside, whirling hooks, Randy Brown just proved himself against a better inside boxer, in my opinion, in Brian Battle, who wasn't really having success other than just clinch striking with him. So Nicholas Dalby is good, but he kind of needs to drain his opponent out. And I feel like Randy Brown gets better as the fight goes on. I feel like he's not going to be looking for a finish. He's just going to keep it cool, calm, collected. And Nicholas Dalby's going to try and rush to the inside after a few rounds of him doing pretty much nothing. And I think it's going to be a clear Randy Brown unanimous decision. Nicholas Dalby's good. I know the Bonfim fight. I know was it the Renat Fakhretdinov fight? Yeah, I think so. I know those were all fights where he proved himself, but he's only really upsetting people with particular styles that kind of help him in his favor. So Randy Brown is kind of the opposite. Randy Brown's just going to tit and tat him at range, and it's going to be a clear decision. And yeah, let's just move on. Michel Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. I see a lot of people going Abus. Abus, if you're getting rocked and finished in 2 rounds by Sean Strickland, he gassed in 1 round against Sean Strickland. And I know you're going to say, in the Bruno Ferreira fight, he showed that his gas tank is replenished and he's able to go these rounds. But if you rewatch that fight, it wasn't like Abus was having a clear, just Marab gas tank all of a sudden. He hasn't changed in that way. Abus, he was gasping for air as he got that takedown against Bruno Ferreira. And good for him. He got the triangle as he was getting elbowed, and it was a gritty performance, but it isn't like this guy is... People are saying he's going to outlast Michel Pereira because Michel Pereira has this terrible gas tank. Their gas tanks aren't too far apart. Like Michel Pereira was still going until like round 3 against like Anthony Hernandez, who was relentlessly taking him. Like I feel like I'm not the only one who's like kind of in shock that people are picking a Boost. I feel like his wrestling is good, but it's really not why he. It's really not his game. He has wrestling, but I mean he is like Dagestani, but yeah, he's just, to be honest, Abus is just, he's a good striker, and I do think he'll have some success striking, but Michel Pereira is so dynamic and just has such an ability to hurt you at any time. First round, Michel Pereira is the most dangerous UFC fighter, I think, on the roster. And I just think Abus is kind of, he has good striking, but I think that, like, to be honest, if it goes past round 1, I don't see Abus having this really good round 2 where he comes out and just puts a pace on Michel Pereira and his gas tanks 10 times. It's not going to be that way. Michel Pereira, he's going to have time to land a shot. Abus, he is powerful. He does have good wrestling, but it's not at Michel Pereira level. Like, I don't know. It's just not at Michel Pereira level. I don't see Abus Magomedov getting too many takedowns. I think Michel Pereira has proven to not be like, I know a lot of his fights end in like 10 seconds, but a lot of his decisions when he used to be at like welterweight or whatever, he used to just go to decisions, and he proved, and he had a lot of fight time to prove that he won't get taken down, where he won't really get chinned. And I don't know, Abus, he doesn't have this Merab cardio. I feel like you get what I'm saying. Michel Pereira just has so much KO ability compared to Abus, who really, it's you're kind of picking him because you just don't believe in Michel Pereira. That's the only reason you're picking Abus. Abus has shown he's okay. The Bruno Ferreira fight, he was doing good, but he was doing good because Bruno Ferreira was also gassed. Like, if he has someone gassed in front of him, he's going to be able to do a little bit. But Michel Pereira, he went like 3 rounds without being completely gassed against Anthony Hernandez. I don't want to repeat myself. Michel Pereira, I have a KO. I think one of the shots, I think it'll be a little later in the first round. I don't think it'll be a 2-minute Michel Pereira just fucking craze fest, like Looney Tunes shit. But I do think it'll be like, I don't know, 4 minutes in the first round. Michel Pereira finally lands a shot. Abus is hurt and then gets a nice finishing sequence. I'm going Michel Pereira by KO. Let's move on. Giga Chikadze versus David Onama. I have Giga Chikadze. I have decision. David Onama, I was watching his fights back, and you look at him, you watch his highlights, and you would think this guy is the best fighter in the world. And when he's on, he's on. But most of the time, he's getting rocked 8 times. He kind of needs 4 concussions before he's actually able to go out there. I know Roberto Romero is solid. Got rocked by him. Timothy Kwamba, terrible, was in there with David Onama. David Onama, he makes too many mistakes to not win, or to not, Jesus. He makes too many mistakes to win against Giga Chikadze. There we go. We finally spat it out. But yeah, Giga, he's just too technical. He's too light on his feet. Arnold Allen is a better version of what David Onama is. And Giga Chikadze, I think he dropped him in round 1. I believe he did. I watched that fight like 2 days ago. Sorry. But yeah, I feel Giga Chikadze, he's just, you wouldn't expect him. He's just this Armenian dude. He looks like he's about to sell you a vape. But he really is. His kicks are super dynamic. And you really can't make too many mistakes against Giga. And David Onama, he gets a little wild once he gets rocked. And if he's not having success, he fully likes to go to a dogfight whenever it's not going his way. And I feel like against Giga, that's going to get you punished. And yeah, David Onama, when he's on, he's on. I could definitely see him winning this fight because you never really know with David Onama. Like Gabriel Santos' fight, he was phenomenal, landing every single one of his shots. His straights are really powerful. I could see Giga maybe getting hurt a little bit. And maybe David has a little success in the later rounds, but I just feel like Giga's going to land something before then. I mean, David's good, but here's a lot of openings. He's been rocked a lot of times, and it's because he's a 0 or 100 fighter. He's either getting that KO or you're going to see him get dropped. And he has the resiliency to keep on coming back in a lot of these fights, so good on him. But Giga Chikadze is a whole different thing. He's a ranked fighter. He's just dynamic. Like Giga's just he's too light on his feet. He's a little. How can I describe him? You know how Giga Chikadze's fight. If you're watching a niche MMA YouTuber who gets like 5 views, you probably know how Giga Chikadze fights. So Giga, he's just really lengthy and he's really fast for being lengthy. David Onama, it's a nightmare matchup. Let's move on. Anthony Smith versus Zhang Minyang. Anthony Smith is not going to win. I want to pick him. You know, Anthony, with that flubby ass fucking tummy of his. I want to pick him, but Steve from Minecraft is just too menacing, and he's too smart to not know that Anthony Smith has no danger, and he has no dangerous bones in his body. And Anthony Smith is just a tub of lard, a tub of emotion, and I don't know, Zhang Minyang, the thing is, he really doesn't need to, like, Anthony Smith, he has a couple times in fights where you'll be like, wow, he's having moments, like against Dominic Reyes, maybe against Khalil Roundtree, you'll be like, oh, in the first round, Khalil Roundtree was kind of a close kickboxing match, but that's all Anthony Smith is the biggest self-defense fighter you've ever seen, where, this is what I mean, it's not like he's trying to win the fight, it's just trying to make it seem like he didn't get his ass beat. And whenever you watch Anthony Smith win fights, it feels like it feels lucky. Every single one of his wins just feel like fate kind of gave him this win. Like Jimmy Crute, he was losing, he got taken down, and then Jimmy Crute just had a leg injury just because of a deadly Anthony Smith leg kick. Like, I know Anthony Smith's a UFC fighter and his leg kicks would kill me. But dude, like, that was so lucky. Then he goes out against Vitor Petrino, just gets his ass beat, and then Vitor just randomly starts trying to take him down after having success on the feet, and then gets guillotined. It's Anthony Smith needs Zhang Minyang to headbutt him, and then like try to take him. Like, Anthony Smith needs the universe to align for him to get a UFC victory, and I just don't see it happening against a UFC fighter who has a great chin, who's shown to just have great inside boxing, and he has nothing to fear with Anthony Smith on the feet coming back at him. So he can really just do whatever he wants. I have Zhang Minyang. I really hope I'm wrong. I love Anthony Smith. Anyways, let's move on. Main event. Ian Garry, Carlos Prates. Both have purple. Oh, no. Carlos is blue shorts. Also, Ian Garry has the lamest fucking shorts ever. Like, imagine, like, the UFC who came to you and was like, hey, like, you can get your own custom shorts. And you're like, oh, I need the purple shorts. Oh, back in Cage Warriors when I was the champion, the purple shorts. Like, the fact that you could have picked anything. Volk has, like, Anthony or, like, the Great. And then it's, like, the Roman Emperor shit. Ian Garry chose, like, the most gay royal color ever, and I know it means something earlier in his career. I don't care. Anyways, let's hop into this fight. Carlos Prates is gonna win, and not because I think he's gonna win. It's because the fighting nerds, you kind of have to just pick him. I have a feeling Ian Garry's good enough to be lengthy and rangy enough to stay in the outside of Carlos Prates' power shots. Like Ian Garry, I know he had some bummy ass performances recently on the feet, and I know he's just a big ball of anxiety in the cage, but I think he's tall enough and lengthy enough to be on the outside of these shots and not get landed on like too cleanly against Carlos Prates. Like Ian Garry, even though he is shown to get like hit a little bit, Song Kanon hit him. I forgot the other guy who did, but I just feel, I don't know, I feel Ian Garry's tall enough and rangy enough not to get hit. But the reason why I'm picking Carlos Prates is because of why, like, Ian Garry is like I said before, a walking ball of anxiety in the cage. He's going to spend the first 2 rounds, like, kind of feeling it out, and then maybe he'll gain confidence in the third. Carlos Prates is going to start dancing at him in the first round. He'll do the cha-cha slide real smooth. He's going to, like, do a little, like, he like moonwalk, and then he's gonna knock out, get like the confidence that the fighting nerds have. And in the first few rounds, Carlos Prates is gonna put a pace that is like crazy. You're gonna see Ian Garry fall, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? I did not expect that. I wanted to choose Ian Garry. I can't pick against a fighting nerd. I do have a feeling that Ian Garry, if he gets past the first 2 rounds, which I have a feeling he might, he's going to just be able to low kick at range, make it boring, maybe mix in some takedowns. Carlos Prates, I just don't feel his cigarette smoking ways are that good. But I don't know, Ian Garry, I have a feeling he's going to be really nervous, very jittery. I just have a feeling Carlos Prates will be able to find a meaty shot because Garry is going to be jittering up. He's going to be, teeping at range. He's going to be jabbing, leg kicking. I feel like Carlos Prates will get a rhythm. He's going to get a pattern of like what Gary's doing. And then he's just going to find a KO blow. Even though, I don't know, I'm scared Ian Garry might, like, I don't know, ride a decision out. I just feel, I don't know, Garry just has so many ways to win in this fight. Like people just underrate his striking so much. I know, like, his last few fights has been kind of mediocre. It's just because he's just such a pussy and he's so scared. Like, he pulled out of that, was it the first Jeff Neal fight? Yeah, the first Jeff Neal fight because of a stomach ache, because of the MMA guru dropping stuff. Like, Ian Garry is just, like, he's just scared. Like, he's not, I just have a feeling Prates is just going to get this done. And yeah, I think that's the video. Yeah, that's the video. Anyways, hope you guys subscribed. Like the video, all that shit. And yeah, I'll see you next time.